What's happening in Nigeria? We'll be sharing a bit of that with you shortly. Komla Klutse has been there with Percy Agbanu. They will be sharing what they found there and some of the results that have come up. We understand Buhari has been re-elected president. What happened to the articulators? Okay, we will share that detail with you. We're going straight to it. My man, your man, our man, Courage, Komla, Yaira, Klutse, Esquire. Komla, welcome. No, I just give people who I think are sharp Esquire. Yeah, no, Esquire is actually missed there anyway. Komla, how are you doing?
Really,
welcome back home.
Thank you, brother.
Welcome back
Thank
home.
you.
And great job there.
Thank you. Well, it's all with the support of the likes of you. I know a number of times I've had to call you on the phone, ask you to go to the recording studios in CBT and others to work out stuff for me. So, I mean, it's a collected effort, and we're glad that we've been able to make it.
The first time you and Percy stepped into the country, Nigeria, what was the mood and feeling like? The campaigns were just about to wrap up, right?
No, we got into Nigeria, that's Abuja specifically, on the 15th, which was a day before the election.
Okay, so campaigns wasn't very...
I mean, they had ended the campaign 24 hours before then. The campaign ended on a Thursday.
Right.
We got in, and virtually everybody had gone to their various states and all that to go and get themselves ready to vote on the 16th.
Right.
So we waited. I mean, at the time we got in, we had not picked up our accreditation and stuff, so we were running here and there trying to get it, as well as gauging the mood in Nigeria. Look, it was tensed. I must.
It was
absolutely tensed. If you have covered, this is the second time we've covered the Nigerian elections, and I mean, you would agree with me. Now, when it comes to elections in Nigeria, it's a total shutdown.
The stakes are high.
Absolutely high. Restricted movement. If you have no business to do with the elections, either you're an INEC official, even the party officials were highly restricted as to where they would go, where they would not go.
What necessitated the restrictions and the calmness, if you will?
2015, you recall, there were a lot of Boko Haram insurgency and all that. Right. They had even attempted the capital, the main Abuja, the capital as well. So this in one way or the other has made the security agencies and then the government, I mean at the time, PDP, take a decision and say that, look, we've got to put in measures. Even those measures that they put in, if you look at 2015 at the time, President Goodluck Jonathan postponed this election because he said there were some issues regarding security. At the time, Boko Haram strikes were so rife that not just in Maiduguri, they had entered part of Kaduna, Niger State, Niger State, and I mean all over the place. So the reason was for them to re-strategize and look at how best they would do it. The more reason why they have had to. And when you look also at the history of Nigeria, you will realize that what we call vigilantism here, I mean, our issue, this is one of a common thing. I mean, they're all over the place.
It's very rife there.
Absolutely rife. And they are daring. I was not surprised on the day of elections in part of Lagos State. People went as far as, they were very daring. If you saw the videos, you see, they picked the ballot boxes, even the INEC officials, they called their bluff, they beat them to pulp, and took the ballot boxes away, went, some printed them. Later on, some of these polling units had results declared as having voted. Meanwhile, elections did not go on there.
So what kept you safe? We'll come to the Nigerian elections in bits, but what kept you safe, you and Percy, while all of this was happening? I'm just curious.
I've been asking myself why. Everybody else wants you to be safe. Yes, we took precautions. We were careful of where we would go and all that. We had our own backed up security, have to be state that, but nonetheless, what we did was to strictly go by those instructions by the federal government.
Okay.
If you are not properly accredited, there were look, most of the places you just cannot go.
Okay.
The conference center, for instance, which was a coalition center in the situation room for INEC.
Okay.
Every other day, look, accreditation kept changing. So you have an accreditation today. There's a master list. Your name is on it.
Okay.
But the tag you are given for today, Wednesday, will not be the same tag that you will use
on Thursday,
on Friday.
Which means that if your task is done on Wednesday, that's it.
That is
you
it.
have no business there.
Yes, there's a generic one which you may use to enter close to the main entrance.
Okay.
But when you're going in, it is reviewed.
Okay.
They have a list.
So from the main entrance, you can come to, say, the media hub.
Yes.
It will afford you a chance to get to the media
hub. It will afford you to get to the media hub.
But to get into the engine room,
never.
You needed
never. There was a biometric smart card that they gave. I mean, it had your biodata and everything. All they needed to do was just to scan them, and then once if your name is on a list, they need to look at it, get you scanned as well for you to have access inside.
Let's talk about the parties, the two forerunners, because it looked like it was a two-horse race. Atiku and Buhari, their offices, PDP, APC, their headquarters. When the elections got postponed. First of all, let's talk about the postponement. It was postponed about 3 a.m., 2 a.m.?
Yes, at 3 a.m. Nigeria time, that is 2 a.m. here in Ghana.
Okay.
It was postponed. That film, I remember, I mean, after all that we had done that Friday, we were so tired, we got into bed, getting ready to leave around 4 a.m. when the breaking news came.
Okay.
So we've had to, what normally Percy will call Jacob. I mean, we have to run and get onto the street. Yeah. So we have had to just get in. But the point is, look, the postponement of the elections, in one way or the other, I am beginning to understand Professor Mahmoud Yakubu for that bold and firm decision he took. It was in the interest of Nigerians. At the time, I can assure you that the tension was so high.
They were not happy with the postponement.
They were not happy, but to a very large extent, many Nigerians feel that decision, that single decision that he and INEC took, diffused the tension. And that played part in the 23rd one. You realize, yes, people came in, not as much as should have been the case, but a lot of people came in, and the tension was not as high as it was. I mean, on the Friday, immediately you enter into the airspace of Abuja, you will feel that there's tension there. The security was just all over the place. Even this one, that yes, it was all over the place, but you could feel that this was a bit reduced as compared to the previous one. Irrespective of the fact that the standards were not reduced.
Then the parties decided to hold press conferences to speak to the media. What were they trying to achieve?
Were you not surprised that both parties, the two leading ones, the PDP and the
APC,
yes, and the APC, were accusing INEC that INEC was doing both of them in? I mean, that should send you a signal that INEC probably was doing something that was useful. Look, I was at that press conference of that stakeholders meeting where the chairman of INEC was speaking to the parties and said that, look, I have decided, as in he as INEC, he together with the other commissioners, have decided to postpone the election because it was very clear that materials could not get to most of the centers. If it had happened at that time, and it was very true, even in Abuja, part of Abuja, on the 23rd, materials could not get to some of the locations early. You would be surprised why, because of how the system has been structured.
But did the INEC explain why, despite the postponement, they still couldn't get the materials to those places?
Yes, those explanations, they said, well, with all that they had done, with the deployments that they did, after the 16th, they took a number of days. That 1 week, all the materials were supposed to have gone, and majority of them went. But in areas that they did not go early, they gave them the opportunity to vote the following day. These were very few areas.
We got some exclusives, a lot of them from you, but one where the people around Ms. Atiku pushed you off, literally, despite the fact that you kept mentioning that you're from Ghana and you wanted to find out what his chances are and what his plans are and all of that. How did you feel then when you were shoved off?
Disappointed, but I can understand. Very disappointed, yes. Haven't been a presidential reporter before. I know how the security, I mean, around some of these high-profile people. But I thought because of elections, well, we could take position. We took cover. We were in the press conference by the PDP. And when it was about to end, we strategically went to locate the camera behind his vehicle.
Okay.
His security details, we spoke to them, and they said, oh, well, you try and see. But his bodyguards inside the room, I mean, they were not with us. But the other one said, oh, what you can do is that when he comes, just identify yourself and pose the question.
Right.
So I rehearsed with the other security around his car.
Okay.
But the bodyguard inside, I didn't have access to him.
Ah, okay.
You can understand it.
Right.
So immediately he gone. And where we were, when I posed the question, he had it all right. The bodyguard would not allow it. He would never allow it. You can understand why. But
exactly.
I mean, I felt a bit disappointed because I thought it was one good opportunity for him, knowing very well that Atiku has some linkage to Ghana. I mean, he's well connected to Ghana.
Absolutely.
I hear he has a family here. I've not been able to verify it, but I
right.
know. I mean, he's been here on a number of occasions. So I was thinking that it was a good opportunity to sell yourself once again to the good people of the world that you are ready for this. Then again, the gentleman punched me right in the face.
Wow.
So at a point in time, if you look at the raw footages we had, my glasses even fell on the floor. I was lucky the glasses did not break, but I had to pick it quickly, insisted. I wanted to see if that he was going to give me that opportunity, even if he had said, I will not talk.
That's enough. That's in itself. That would have for stuff to treat the voters or to buy them off to vote in a certain way. Did you see that in Nigeria?
Yes, we had seen footages from some other state that even one senator who unfortunately has not been re-elected. I mean, he lined them up. He stood at a polling station.
Okay.
So the entrance of the polling station, when you're going in, he hands over some cash to you.
Okay.
And then when you take the
and this was in the full glove of the public?
It was in the full glove of the public. I mean, that's Nigeria for you. These things spice up the elections in Nigeria. So he gives the cash to you, and then you go in, and then you go and do the stuff for him. As to the other side of it, where he should have monitored whether indeed they voted for him or not.
Of course, he can't monitor.
But the result he needed show that the people punished him. But yes, he gave the money all right.
They took the money.
They took the money at the polling station.
Okay.
He went and voted against him.
Wow.
So I mean, it was so much of drama characterizes Nigerian elections.
It does suggest that the African electorate is becoming more conscious.
Absolutely.
Of what you promise, what you deliver, and how you cannot hoodwink them with some cash or goodies. It does appear to me.
It does. And for me, I think that even in the body politics of Ghana, we are beginning to see that. Well, politicians can no longer take Ghanaians for a ride. You think that's something you say today, they have not recorded it. Tomorrow they will remind you of it and give you a proper interpretation that affects everybody. So I mean, when you look at the two parties, the APC took me on a tour. Myself, two reporters from Reuters, NTA channels, and then another media house. I think Al Jazeera. We went into their situation room. Cameras were not allowed. We went into their situation room to see how they were monitoring the elections, electronically monitoring the elections. How elections were going to be. They deployed.
Was it equal to what Dan Kwan Studio had done here some time ago?
I have
2016?
Well, something a bit of but this particular one is a bit complicated. So what they have done is to link the various states. They had about 20 states, which I mean they had control over. So they had situation rooms in all those states, linked into the central part in Abuja. So whatever happens at the polling station, they quickly will do the recording, transmit it to the state situation room, verified and signed, and it is forwarded to the situational room, the national one. So they were monitoring. But I think that the posturing of the APC was a bit measured. When I was speaking 3 days ago to the spokesperson or the communications director, he was like, they were very confident and they were measured. They said they were not going to go out and jubilate ahead of themselves. They would respect whatever INEC has, because they already knew what they had gathered. I was not surprised.
Was it the same gentleman who said that the PDP were trying to hoodwink the international press to
exactly?
To
I mean, if you look at the statement released by the spokesperson of the PDP, Komla, I mean, it was more or less of a comfortable lead one.
Right.
Oh yes, I mean, their candidate Atiku should be declared. Meanwhile, INEC had not even taken a single declaration at the time.
Okay.
So for the APC, they had their figures, but they remained calm and they were waiting. We had tried to ask about the PDP's situational role. I tried every other thing, but they would not talk about it. As to whether they had and didn't allow any media or not, I cannot tell. But their way of monitoring. I remember after the voting on Sunday, early in the morning, we went to the two party offices. At the APC office, that allowed us access into it to just look at the atmosphere as it was calm. When we were filming at the PDP office, their security men got close to us and asked us what we were doing. And we said, well, this is our identity. We're taking a situational report of how the party offices looked. Then they said, well, you should have come to us. And we said, oh, we've been here before. Said, okay, fine. But you wait. Whatever you are filming, pause. Let me go and talk to the big man first. He went, called the head of the security, then they came. So they finally allowed us to film. But when I was speaking with them, I asked, so how far now? Then we know they hear anything, Oga. So and you could see from the posturing of the people around the PDP office that they know how the result had
turned out.
Yes, within the various states. It was not going their favor. The more reason why they have had to just bring out that statement. And their chairman, the Secondus, also held a press conference at 2 a.m. and said that the results being given by INEC were fake and that they should disregard it. The nation should disregard it and not go by it. They, per their own calculations and stuff, they know very well that their candidate Atiku Abubakar has won. Well,
anyway, it turns out that the figures did not support that claim. Total number of registered voters, some 82,344,107. Total number of accredited voters, 29,364,209. Total votes cast, 28,614,190. Total valid votes, 27,324,583, and rejected votes 1,289,607. Give us the details party by party. There are about 6 key runners in this election, as the INEC decided to put them. What did they get? How did they fare? You want to share the details with that quickly?
Yeah, I'm just trying to get that that open from my email. I've had to upload them
let me rehash a bit of it.
Yes,
AAC had 33,953. ADC had 97,874. ADP had 54,930. APC, that's the Buhari's party, he had 15,191,847, and the PDP had 11,262,978. SDP had 34,746. So maybe a little close to 4 million votes is what a little over 3 million votes was what
and when
Buhari split the election with.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at how the APC fared now as compared to 2015, the gap or the margin between President Buhari and then Goodluck Jonathan, at the time the margin was over 4 million votes.
Right.
This has reduced, and a lot of interpretations have been given to this.
For example, what?
The turnout was not entirely the best as compared to 2015. The turnout was quite high. I'm just trying to get the details, but with this particular one, even though people came out in their numbers to vote despite the postponement, generally, if you put together the figures compared to 2015, President Buhari's performance has dropped. Yes, it has dropped, and this many have linked to the postponement. But then again, even after the postponement, for the elections to be held on the 23rd, fuel prices were reduced.
They were?
They reduced fuel prices.
But there are other issues. For example, the Boko Haram issues, the Chibok girls. There are many other issues that the people are looking for: cost of living, the economy. And I was just going to ask you about what the election, the tension, the postponement, what economic impact it had on the country of Nigeria.
Yeah, I mean, if like I was saying that, I mean, they had reduced fuel prices. Also, workers were paid before the 23rd.
So more like, okay, to
get them to, or say compensation of the sort, because ordinarily they would have been paid this week.
Would you consider that as abuse of incumbency?
You can look at it from two ways, whichever side of the coin you want to stand. Well, the PDP can tell you that, well, this was some agenda of the sort by the government to buy, quote unquote, the voters. But also, I mean, people had gone to vote, they traveled to their various states to vote, and it was postponed. And in as much as it was postponed, coming back was a problem. A lot of them had come back, but they've had to go back again.
I know people who traveled from Ghana, who had to come and go back.
Yeah, I mean, even we ourselves, we plan our stay to be just about 4 days. Just after the voting and the counting, then we are back. But we've had to extend for 1 more week. But these things were supposed to be an inducement in quote. Or let me know, inducement might be too strong a word. To compensate them. That look, you have gone to your various states to vote, but the elections were postponed. You have come back to work again. Say you have moved from Maiduguri, far up north, to go and vote. You've had to come back again to Lagos or Abuja. Okay, we will pay you your salaries on time.
But that's consequential. I mean, the salaries was supposed to be paid at a certain time.
Yeah, absolutely.
Things have happened anyway. Finally, Komla, let's wrap up the conversation this week. So when you hit Abuja with Percy, and then you were expecting the elections to happen at a certain time, then it got postponed. At that point, your itinerary changed.
Everything changed.
Okay, so how did you rework it? Because then I saw you at different places. How did you rework it? I'm curious to know.
Okay, so the first thing was to get back to base and tell them that the elections have been postponed. I remember that day on our page, I kept, okay, yes, he has been postponed, but backdoor, myself and Abraham and Matilda, back and forth with HR, we were seeing, okay, what decisions would be taken. Then Ibrahim, it was a weekend.
It was.
But they needed to put their heads together. But at the end of the day, we had an agreement that, okay, you were supposed to have covered this election. It was postponed. It's not too good to come back and you don't have anything. You stay there. By Monday, we'll get back to you. So we stood there. And then our flight was rescheduled. Then immediately we had notification that the flight was rescheduled. Mine was just to get into the other communities, get Niger State and then the other ones and all that. But I mean, on the whole, I must say that it was worth it. Worth it because we were late in going, but even as they postponed it, we took advantage of it to get some contacts, to get some of the people to speak with, and also get a lot more stories done. But movement in Nigeria, I must tell you, Johnny, you would have to be very careful. One of the things our mission there kept telling us was that avoid crowded places. 2015, they had attended, even the night of the voting, the night before the voting, the Friday night, there was a bomb blast. Somebody blew a suicide bomb, and this was in a Trotsky. The person took that decision to just blast himself. Yes, it was public transport. Yes, so that happened, and so you have to be cautious and careful of how you go about it. Then also, I mean, I must say, you kept mentioning Percy. He's the man. For me, Percy is a hero. Every other thing, he mirrored all that we did. So we must give the credit to him as well. And then back to the team here, Koshi, Cyril, Matilda, Abraham, yourself, Godfred, Cyril, everybody, even management and then the board.
Right.
If they didn't have the confidence in us, well, we wouldn't have been able to get to this far. So that's what it is.
I thank you very much indeed.
Yeah.
I was just going to ask you if this indicated, the selection, the results and the activities indicated that African democracy is growing, especially from a Nigerian perspective. And give me just one line if you think so.
I think there's a lot to learn, especially from the Nigerian elections. For 73 or 74 candidates on, I call it a booklet because you had to fold it about 5 times before it enters. It
looked to me like when we were the try a lock balloon sheet.
That sort of thing. and when you look at the number of spoiled vote, let me just take, for instance, in an area like Kogi State, where the number of spoiled ballot was over 12,000.
Wow.
That should tell you that it is. Somebody might decide to go and vote for Buhari, but might go and end up voting for NNP.
Right.
The thumbprinting and all that. Some decided to even thumbprint. You will be looking for the thing, you might not get it. So you just, okay, thumbprinted just anywhere. I think that we should take some lessons from it.
Komla Klutse is the senior correspondent here. He's been in Nigeria with senior cameraman Percy Agbanu as well. They've been bringing you all the details from the Nigerian election. So the big news is that President Buhari has been re-elected as the leader of Africa's most populous nation, and he beat Mr. Atiku by some close to 4 million votes.